People in ICE concentration camps are losing their lives. And don't even think about saying FAFO, fuck around and find out, to these people in ICE detention centers. It is a shame that members of the Black community started the trend, and so many other people followed.
Black people want to be left alone. They don't want revenge. They don't want to replace us, as some extremist groups have said. They just want to live life in peace.
Mexicans, leave the Black community alone. They already have enough that they're going through on their own.
Am I the only one that didn't know that apparently Latinos were like begging Black people for support and help now that Donald Trump is trying to deport? I did not know this.
Or did you guys forget that 46% of all eligible Latino voters voted for Donald Trump?
As a Mexican, I did not know Mexicans can be racist.
It's true. Black people will be discriminated against in a Latin American country.
If you don't have an Afro-Latino parent, I'm talking about a Black parent with the Latino descent, I don't even think you should be claiming to be Afro-Latino.
Latinos want to say it while being racist as hell towards us. How come everybody feels so comfortable including themselves in Black American culture, but excluding us from their culture?
I feel like now is the perfect time to talk about the anti-Blackness that is rampant in Latino communities.
Let's be real. Black Americans have been standing up for other minority groups for years. They have marched with them, spoken out for them, and called for unity when others stayed silent. But now, many Black Americans are tired. They are done being dragged into battles that were never theirs to begin with. They have realized that some of these same groups, especially certain Latino communities, not only turned against their own interests, but also showed racism toward Black Americans. And it doesn't stop there. These same groups are even racist toward their own dark-skinned people. So think about it. If people won't even support their own, why should they expect Black Americans to support them? Make it make sense. This time, Black Americans are choosing to focus on their own, their businesses, their families, and their progress. And remember that the video is for educational purposes, and the credits goes to original creators of the clips used in this video. Let's get into it.
Black people want to be left alone. They don't want revenge. They don't want to replace us, as some extremist groups have said. They just want to live life in peace, the way they want to live. They want family, they want love, and they want to live in a society where they know they belong here. They want society to also know that they belong here. They want to walk out their door and not worry that they're going to be treated unfairly, or they're going to get that look like they're not welcome, or that someone's going to try to touch their hair like a zoo animal. Yes, they want they want white people to fix white problems of prejudice and ignorance and all the ways that a wrongful sense of superiority is baked into our society. Yes, they want that to change. Yes, they want acknowledgement for harms done. They don't want us to just explain things away or justify or gloss over things without really listening. But more than anything, they want to be themselves, fully express who they are, love who they are, be with their family, and live in peace.
Mexicans, leave the Black community alone. They already have enough that they're going through on their own. Black and brown need to come together and fight the orange man. No, you haven't even reconciled your hatred towards us. As a Mexican American, I don't hate Black people. Y'all are cool as hell. We might have differences every now and then, but I like people on the basis of their character, not the color of their skin. No matter what race you are, maybe I won't like you because of the type of person that you are, but that's neither here nor there. Mexicans, let the Black people do what they do. They got their own shit going on. If you're out there peacefully, keep doing what you're doing. Make sure they don't tie you with these other crazy individuals, because you will be going to prison after this is all said and done. Don't get the Black people involved in this, because then it's going to get really bad. Then the violence is going to get really, really bad.
They are being starved. They are thirsty, only given 1 cup of water per day, are denied bathroom privileges, are denied medical attention. People in ICE concentration camps are losing their lives. And don't even think about saying FAFO, fuck around and find out, to these people in ICE detention centers. It is a shame that members of the Black community started the trend, and so many other people followed. This is an updated voting poll. Brown people voted for Kamala Harris more, but you fall for the colonizers' divisive tactics, the inaccurate voting polls, the initial propaganda. It is immature and immoral to be centering that type of behavior in response to a community that is being mass deported in prison and concentration camps and tossed out of the country to who knows where without any rights or contact to any lawyer or family. When we should be focused on solidarity, and this has to stop immediately, especially those of you who claim to be activists perpetuating this FAFOBS nonsense.
Shouts out to Aaliyah, because this is where it was on her page when I first saw this lady, this Mexican lady, and then I went to her page and she doubled down and literally said that they helped us during the Civil War, which is a lie, and the Mexicans helped free the slaves. First of all, Mexico had slavery themselves that wasn't abolished until 1829 or 1830 or something, somewhere around there. And the president that abolished slavery in Mexico was Afro-Indigenous. I don't know why they keep leaving that part out. He looked more like a negro than he looked like. Y'all picking up what I'm putting down? And when we were down there, we was fighting beside them. We was helping to protect their borders. They conveniently leave that out. All this civil rights, nobody that was not fighting with us for civil rights is a lie and a scam, not as a collective. And they know a lot of them are anti-black. It is so crazy that they keep blaming us. First of all, we've been saying fuck around and found out, just like we've been saying a whole bunch of other shit that they co-opt and steal and turn into something else. Fuck around and found out never really had no political meaning. That's just how black people talk. Bitch, fuck around and find out. That's how we talk. Why do they keep blaming us and censoring us when we are not the ones that's putting them in concentration camps? We do not yield, nor do we hold the power to deport them. They are focusing on the wrong people. Why y'all not mad at MAGA? Why y'all not sticking it to the white man? I mean, we just got to call it a spade a spade. It's so weird that the Mexican and the Latino community keeps coming for black people. It's because we're not putting our bodies, we're not sacrificing our bodies and going and running out and standing on the front lines. Is that what it is? Why they got so much animosity toward us like we're the ones that's doing this to them? We're not inflicting any pain on you. And as per Aaliyah's video, because I never saw that initial video, she played a video of a bald head clear guy coining fuck around and find out for political purposes. Once again, stealing our shit, renaming, reclassifying it, giving it a different meaning. We're not making fun of y'all like that. We really ain't. We don't give a... It's unfortunate, but stop blaming. You're pointing.
As a Mexican, I did not know Mexicans can be racist. I'm gonna blame this on my dad. See, my dad is a dark-skinned Mexican who came into the United States in the 1980s. And whenever you ask him about his experience with black people, he will tell you that one of his first American friends was a black person who showed him nothing but love and kindness. To this day, he speaks on how he remembers that man grabbing a cardboard box, going to the corner of the street, and break dancing. He talks about how he remembers every weekend that black man would be cooking, barbecuing. And those are core memories for my dad. I grew up in a predominantly Mexican town outside of Fresno. None of those kids that I would go to school with would ever talk ill about black people. I didn't know the slurs for black people until I think I was a teenager. So I was pretty oblivious to racism from the Mexicans to the blacks. Me Mexicans were colorist and classist because I saw Mexicans be colorist to my father, who's a dark-skinned Mexican. I didn't know racism. I was about 15, 16 years old when I was watching George Lopez do a comedy show, and I was watching it with my dad. And in his show, George Lopez says that Mexican parents do not let their children date black people. And I look at my dad like, what? I was like, Dad, would you not let me? And my dad was just as confused. He was like, what? I've never even thought about that. My dad's friends would never say stuff like that either. So I was mind blown as to like, okay, why would George Lopez say that? And it wasn't until I got older that I realized that major cities like Los Angeles and Chicago are super racist within the communities. And there's a lot of rivalry within the communities. And I am working on a series to educate on why there's rivalry and division within the communities, especially in the big cities. Back to what I was talking about. I was also very oblivious to racism in Mexico because the parts of Mexico that my dad is from, we literally have Afro-Mex there. Sambos, Lobos, indigenous Mexicans mixed with African. But I didn't know that there was such thing as African ancestry up until recently. I just thought we got colonized by Spain. We were mixed with Spaniard. But again, because of where my family's from in Mexico, I didn't know about racism. And I stood strong saying that Mexicans in Mexico were not racist. They can be colorist and classist, but racism, you will see racism in Mexico where it's predominantly Spaniard Mexicans. And up until recently, we didn't acknowledge our Afro-Mex, and we didn't call them Afro-Mex, we just called them Mexican. It wasn't until there was a genocide happening around Mexico City where a lot of Africans were being killed, and these are Afro-Mex. That brought awareness to other people in Mexico and in the United States about our Afro-Mex. That's when many of us were just like, oh crap, we have African ancestry. And later on, we found out that indigenous people mixed with African people are called Sambos and Lobos. That's when the census started counting Afro-Mex. With that, a can of worms opened. As Mexicans, we started exploring more of who we were, and thus we're going through an identity crisis right now in Mexico. Because we're going through an identity crisis in Mexico, the Mexicans in the United States are still not letting go of that internalized racism that was drilled into their head by Spaniards. I didn't experience racism from Black people up until recently. See, a long time ago, I started beauty school. That's when I started being around Black people. I never once did I experience racism from them. When I enlisted in the military, I was around a lot of Black people. I never experienced racism from any of them. Recently, I had my third child with an African man. And I mean African, like he's straight from Africa. And I started getting hate from Black women. These women started telling my baby daddy that he needed to keep the blood pure and that he was disgusting for mixing with a Mexican. And there was Black women coming at me, telling me that I stole their man. And yes, I also had Mexicans telling me the same thing. I was being told that I was gross for mixing. These are coming from the same self-hating Mexicans who don't even know who they are. But anyways, that's when I first started experiencing racism from Black people. Even then, my encounters have been limited. Then opening up TikTok and seeing how Black people are speaking about their experiences, and backing up their experiences from Latinos being racist, I couldn't believe that Mexicans were racist because of the way I was raised. I was so oblivious because of the way my father educated me, because my dad was all about love, respect, community, and culture. You know why my dad always had that mentality? Because my dad always knew who he was. He knew his indigenous roots and he knew his ancestry. My dad educated me. That's the best wealth anybody can teach you, is your ancestry, your family tree, your family history. Going back to Mexico this year, understanding my ancestry, not just as a native Mexican, but now knowing that we have African ancestry in the part of Mexico that my family's from, and knowing the beauty of how we all mix. The natives where my father is from, when Cortez and his men showed up back in the 1600s, saw all the slaves that they had, and those indigenous people helped free the slaves and fled with them to the Sierra Madres. And thus how we mix. That is history that my father has been able to pass down to me. For the past few years, I've asked myself, what if Mexicans knew who we really were, stopped our colorism, stopped hating our own indigenous people for being dark, learned our true ancestry, accepted the fact that in the history of Mexicanos, when communities unite, we are not conquered. Divided, we stay conquered. And thus I started spreading what I speak on my TikTok, calling out all communities, not just the Latinos. I get hate from all communities, but my mission is for people to be hungry enough to seek their history and ancestry and educate themselves. Because when you know where you come from, you stop hating the part that you don't know who you were. And when you stop hating the part that you don't know who you were, you stopped hating other communities. And you realize that we're communities and not a community, because that is how our oppressor wins. Growing up as a Mexican, I did not know Mexicans can be racist.
It's true. Black people will be discriminated against in a Latin American country. If you're leaving America to get away from discrimination and you're moving to a Latin American country thinking that you're not going to be discriminated against, you're wrong. I've been hearing a lot about people that have moved to Mexico and are complaining that they're being discriminated against in Mexico. Let me tell you something. Mexico discriminates against their own Mexican people that are darker shade than the rest of them. In Mexico, there's a lot of states that have very fair skin and blue eyes people. The people that have indigenous features, the very dark skin, the black hair, are discriminated against. So you coming to live to Mexico and think that you're not going to be discriminated against is a fallacy. This is not just in Mexico. It happens everywhere in Latin America. Black people are discriminated against. In Honduras, there's an entire community of Garifunas. And Garifunas have been in Honduras for hundreds of years. And to this day, they discriminate against them. They remove their land. Some of them even get murdered. It's a battle Garifunas have gone through for decades with Honduras, because Honduras to this day does not recognize Garifunas as part of being part of Honduras.
What's an opinion you have that might piss some people off? This is gonna piss off a lot of Latinos, but here we go. Latinos, we got a lot of anti-black racism in our community, and we usually let it slide because it's our family saying this racist shit. And I'm gonna need y'all to start calling out your family members, because all you Latinos seem to forget that we Latinos also have black ancestors. We also have ancestors who were slaves in Latin America, who came from Africa. Just because you are not an Afro-Latino does not mean you do not have African ancestry. Black people are our family. We gotta stop the racist bullshit and start working together.
Latinos in the United States have not earned the support of black people for us to be demanding, oh yeah, why aren't they coming out to protest with us? Why aren't they engaging in activism with us? Because we haven't earned it at all, in the slightest. Or did you guys forget that 46% of all eligible Latino voters voted for Donald Trump in the 2024 presidential election? Or how about the fact that racism, anti-blackness, colorism, all of these things are still very much pervasive in our communities? Bro, Latinos haven't even reconciled with the fact that they can't use the N-word unless they're also black themselves, because Afro-Latinos exist. Oh, and if we're talking about Miami, oof, you'll see the whitest MAGA Latinos be like, bro, but I grew up in the hood. I grew up around black people. In Overtown or in Liberty City, I could say it, bro. No one's going to stop me from saying it. It's my right. I'm not racist. I have a black friend. We haven't even gotten over that. And we want black people to go to protest with us, to engage in activism with us, putting their lives, their freedom, their bodies on the line? No. I completely understand any black person that wants to just disengage, disregard us. I get it, guys. I really, really do. And we, as Latinos, as a collective, should not be harboring resentment against black people, criticizing them, getting angry at them, questioning them. No. No. Because we've earned this. They are completely justified in feeling the way they feel and doing what they're doing. Now, I would like to give a message to the black folks watching this video. You are completely justified in your feelings and in doing what you're doing, and I respect it. But please remember that black folks are also being affected by this persecution of undocumented migrants. And I feel like that's not talked about enough either. Here, Miami, Florida is the best example. Haitians, Jamaicans, Bahamians, Afro-Cubans, Afro-Hondurans, Garifunas, black people from all over Latin America and all over the world, Africans, just so many black people that are also undocumented that are really being affected by the persecution of this administration. And of course, much like any other entity in space, black folks in immigration detention centers, in the immigration system, are treated worse than their white, Latino, Asian counterparts. So it's really important to acknowledge that and just let you guys know. But yeah, Latinos, we need to tighten up. If you guys want the support of the black community, then earn it. Demonstrate that we can solve these issues of racism in our own communities, and please stop saying the N-word.
Man, fuck. Y'all know how Mexicans love calling black people lazy and shit, and how we don't like to work and how we don't like to do shit, right? We shouldn't have to work. We shouldn't have to do shit, especially in this country, because our ancestors built this shit brick by fucking brick. But we ain't gonna talk about it. See, they don't mind working for $8 an hour, $9 an hour, $10 an hour, or even pennies and shit. They don't mind working for that little shit because they don't know they worth. My people, we know our worth. We know how much we worth. So we not finna slave. No. Y'all could slave for them pennies. It ain't gonna be us. So y'all could call us anything lazy in the book. It won't be us, though. And the fact that y'all like to condescend us black people and like to talk down on us, and y'all like to say nigga. I'll keep saying nigga after we keep telling y'all to stop. The hilarious part of all this shit is 52%.
The funny part is that the comments agreed with this ignorance, but let me set the record straight for you. Before you continue these rants, let's get one thing straight. Hard work and knowing your worth are not mutually exclusive. The idea that black people refuse to work because they know their worth is a convenient excuse for ignoring the realities of economic survival. Our ancestors built this country, yes, but wealth wasn't passed down to us. Mexicans are still fighting for economic power, and we're not just waiting for it to fall on our laps. You're claiming that Mexicans don't know their worth because they take low-paying jobs, but that's not ignorant. That's resilience. They take those jobs because they don't have the luxury of waiting for something better. Let's not forget that those same underpaid workers are feeding America, building America, and keeping the economy running where you live. That's not a lack of worth. That's an undeniable work ethic. And if we're talking about respect, let's be real. Mutual respect should go both ways. You can't demand people stop saying a word while throwing around another. Elevating black pride should not mean stepping on others. And if we want better for our people, let's move with power and not pettiness.
One thing.
If you don't have an Afro-Latino parent, I'm talking about a black parent with Latino descent, I don't think you should even be claiming to... I don't even think you should be claiming to be Afro-Latino or Afro-Latina. I think it's a thing. I think it's a thing of convenience at this point, because when y'all start to get backlash, especially from a set demographics of people, that's when y'all want to pull out the Afro-Latino card, the same way Evelyn Lozada did on Basketball Wives when she was going up against OG. Again, it's offensive and disrespectful for people that look like me, who's actually been through uncomfortable experiences, because not only are we black, but we happen to be Latino on top of being black. You don't understand the struggles of an Afro-Latino person. So to make light of being Afro-Latino, but you don't want the struggles that come with it, is what makes me get mad. That shit pisses me off. It's a slap in the face, and you're out of pocket. You're out of pocket. Like, you're not about to sit here and claim being an Afro-Latino all of a sudden, when you don't even know what it's like to live as to be treated as, because you happen to be Afro-Latino. What we're not gonna do is that. I'm not saying that bitches that look like Evelyn Lozada, I'm not saying they white, but you're more like a mestizo mix. If we're gonna get technical, you're more like European and Taino, if anything. That little 5% blackness you have in your DNA does not equate to you being Afro-Latina. I'm making myself clear, because y'all bitches don't even be phenotypically black, but want to claim this Afro-Latino shit. Enough is enough. Like DJ D-Red, cut the beat.
Latinos want to say it while being racist as hell towards us. How come everybody feels so comfortable including themselves in Black American culture, but excluding us from their culture? Other groups of people want to say the N-word while excluding us from their culture. I guarantee you, if my black ass was to start saying essay, they'd all be offended. If I was to walk into a bar full of Latinos and start calling them essay and all of this shit, they're gonna look at me like, what's wrong with this nigga? But they think it's alright to come around us saying nigga all day. Same way if I was to start doing their music, they'd look at me crazy. But all we see is Latino rappers today.
And Mexican people, y'all can bring y'all ass here. You ain't slick. It's your turn. Did y'all know that Mexicans owned enslaved Africans for some 300 years? And in fact, it helped build up over 65% of what we know Mexico to be today. It helped build up their entire economy. Before I get into it, y'all, this is my only TikTok. It is at Kim Possible. I also have an Instagram and a YouTube that's in my bio. Please give me a follow. But without further ado, let's get into it real quick. From the early 1520s to the very end of the Mexican War of Independence in 1810, Mexico imported some 255,000 Africans just to solely rebuild their economy and also their population. Now, before this was even called Mexico, this was the land of the Aztecs. We all know the Mayans and the Aztecs. The Incas was, I believe, South America, but Mexico was Mayans and Aztecs. That was that land. Their population declined tremendously once the white people in Spain came over with smallpox. It went from 27 million people to just 1 million people in under 10 years. So Spain, being the colonizers that they are, thought it'd be best to bring Africans to replace this population and to rebuild this economy and rebuild this country.
I realized how racist people in Mexico can be this last time I went.
It's actually colorism, but no, I get you, what they do.
Every time I would see a girl and, she was pretty, but she was like morenita, they'd be like, oh, no, I know this other girl. Like,
I feel like this is colorism exposure therapy. Yeah, being a morenita is not for the weak. Let me guess. They were said the prettier girls were blonde hair, blue eyes.
This other girl, she's got blonde hair, blue eyes. That's like their go-to selling point all the time.
I got it right. But yeah, for some reason they love saying that, like, oh, but she has blonde hair, blue eyes, blonde hair, blue eyes. It's like the way they just praise Eurocentric not even Eurocentric features, just European features. Look at how they talk about Loreto Peralta. Like, they act like that is, I mean, she's beautiful. She's absolutely beautiful. But she also just is a white girl, a beautiful white girl. But they act like, oh my God.
They weren't even hot girls. They were like, you could have blue eyes and you could be looking like gold.
I think all women are beautiful, but I will say that when it comes to being a white, blonde hair, blue eyed woman in Mexico, yeah, they don't really care what you're. Sometimes they really don't care about looks. They just want you to notice their blonde hair and blue eyes. Like, I know there are some people who on Facebook, their profile picture is like them with their eyes like.
With everything that just came out with Kenny, I feel like now is the perfect time to talk about the anti-blackness that is rampant in Latino communities. Hi, my name is Cheyenne. I'm an Afro-Latino sociologist, and my entire master's thesis was on anti-blackness, specifically within Latino communities. I think the biggest thing I've heard in this whole discussion of Kenny is, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this person of color was so racist. Honestly, that does not surprise me. Specifically, him being a Latino man being anti-black. This wasn't just racism, this was anti-black racism toward a dark-skinned black woman. This is quite nuanced, so if you want other videos, I will explain. I spent an entire year researching this, but it applies like to a T. It's kind of scary. Now, in this whole thing, we're just looking at this racial component of everything that happened. Of course, there's more nuance in that he was playing for the long game and like that's sick. But again, we're focusing on the racial component of this. So to understand this thing, we're going to be looking at racial formation, specifically racial triangulation. This is a sociological theory that we see play out in real time. So we're going to look at racial triangulation as a triangle, where whiteness is on the top, and then on either side, in this case, would be black and Latino. Now, oftentimes what happens is Latinos want to align themselves with whiteness. How do they do that? They're going to flip this triangle where the top is up here. They're going to flip it to where now blackness is at the bottom and whiteness and Latinidad is at the top. So essentially, to gain proximity to whiteness, Latinos can shit on black people, participate in anti-black rhetoric, in an attempt to gain closer proximity to whiteness, in an attempt to be accepted by white people. Yeah, I'm a person of color, but I'm not black, and I'm gonna participate in anti-black racism with you. Accept me as white, accept me as white, accept me as white. This is so important because it came out that Kenny was a Trump supporter. So I could bet money that those text messages were sent to a white person, and he was attempting to gain favor with that white person. How does he do that as a non-white Latino? He participates in anti-black rhetoric. And what a better way to do that than to talk about his partner, a dark-skinned black woman. The devil works hard, but white supremacy works harder. Again, this is a very nuanced theory, and that was just kind of like a super quick explanation of it. But essentially, we see that all the time. You see that with Latinos for Trump. They're trying so hard to align themselves with whiteness, with white supremacy, and the best way to do that is to partake in anti-black racism. So it's honestly not shocking to me that this Latino man was partaking in such anti-black rhetoric. What is shocking is he did it for an entire year and pretended to love this woman. That's sadistic.
Am I the only one that didn't know that apparently Latinos were like begging black people for support and help now that Donald Trump is trying to deport? I did not know this. I did not know this. I just learned in the comment section, man, in one of my videos, man. They said, yo, they was just asking us for help. Now they're blaming us for having the young men in their community. Like, what's going on over here? I was asking for help, man. So y'all know how to go down that rabbit hole. And apparently there's a whole bunch of Latinos, man, talking about black people. We need to unite. We need to come together. Trump is trying to get us out of here. It's us. Who the fuck is us? We legal. We ain't going nowhere. The worst thing we're gonna hear is somebody say go back to Africa, and we haven't heard that since the 90s. Listen, I can make fun of the situation, right? Because I don't got papers, right? The broski's an undocumented immigrant, but I've been dodging ICE since 1998 when we used to call it La Migra. And I'm out here in New York City, so I'm protected. Like the other day, they were closing in on me, right? They was about to arrest me, man. And 5 batshit crazy liberals, man, stopped walking their dogs and drinking their Starbucks, man. And they jumped at the ICE agents and said, the broski, run, broski, run. And man, I took off running, bro. I've been running ever since, bro. They did not catch me, man. So I could talk confidently out here in New York City because I know these liberals ain't gonna allow these ICE agents to arrest me. They're like, that's our fucking immigrant. He ain't going nowhere. But he shot 2 cops. We don't give a fuck, man. Those were his cops to shoot.
You know what's wild? The more you listen to all of these voices, the more you realize that a lot of people are finally saying out loud what's been boiling underneath for years. There's frustration, confusion, and honestly, exhaustion. You can feel it. Black Americans are tired of being pulled into everybody's drama, and when you look closer, you can start to see it. It's like every few years, some group that once ignored black struggles suddenly wants help when things get rough for them. But when black people are crying for justice, where were they? Silent, sometimes even laughing. That's what makes this moment so different. People are done playing the savior. But here is a twist. While everyone is pointing fingers, the real issue goes deeper than race wars on TikTok. It's about how division has become a tool, a distraction. Because when minorities fight each other, people in power never get blamed. Think about it. The system thrives when people argue instead of uniting. And this anti-black energy that keeps showing up into different communities, that's not new. It's something that has been passed down for generations. Some people don't even realize how deep it runs. You go to some countries in Latin America and darker-skinned folks are still treated like they don't belong. Even in 2025, that's not black versus Latino problem. That's a mindset problem. And the sad part is, it's a mindset that came from the same colonizers who played all of us against each other centuries ago. What's interesting though is that you are seeing more people from the Latino side finally speaking out, calling out their own families, exposing colorism and admitting the truth that anti-blackness exists. And that's big, because that's where real changes start, inside your own home. It's very easy to post about unity online, but the real test is what you allow your parents, cousins, and friends to say when the cameras are off. Let's also be honest. There is no real unity without respect. You cannot take from black culture and then look down on black people. You can't dance black people's music, use their slang, profit from their style, and then get silent when black people get disrespected. That's not unity. That is literally using us. So when black Americans say, we're done being used, it's not hate, it's self-respect, it's boundaries. But let's not twist it either. This isn't about shutting others out. It's about saying, if you want us to work with you, you've got to work right. No slurs, no fake allyship, no playing both sides. You can't call yourself people of color when you need numbers, then separate yourself when it's convenient. Real solidarity means showing up when it's uncomfortable. And another thing, some people think working together means losing your identity. No, it means strengthening it. Black people focusing on black business, black education, black families, that's not segregation. That's survival. That's how people build power. Every strong community takes care of itself first. That's not being selfish. That is being smart. The sad reality is that a lot of people are now realizing how broken their own communities are. Some of these same groups that once looked down on black people are discovering that colorism and racism are eating them from inside. They are seeing how their own dark-skinned brothers and sisters are being rejected. And now they are going through the same pain black people have been shouting about for decades. Maybe that's what it takes for some people to finally understand. But here is a hope. Some are waking up. Some are studying their history, learning about their African roots, realizing that the very blood they use it to deny is a part of their strength. When that awareness spread, that's when unity actually becomes possible. Not just hashtags, but healing. Because when you know who you are, you don't need to put others down to feel valuable. And let's not forget the human side of this. People in detention centers, regardless of race, are suffering. And it's not right. Nobody should be treated like an animal. But instead of blaming other struggling groups, we need to aim our voices at the real source of the problem. The system, the laws, the policies that dehumanize people. Because the moment Americans start blaming each other, the people responsible sit back and laugh. See, that's why these conversations matter. They make people uncomfortable, but they also wake people up. Because the truth is, no matter your background, anti-blackness hurts you too. It keeps you chained to the lies that make you believe that your value depends on how close you can get to the whiteness. And that's exactly how the system stays alive. If you look around right now, you will see something beautiful happening. More young people, both black and Latino, are starting to reject old mindset. They are collaborating, creating, building, speaking truth without fear. They are saying, we're not fighting each other, we are fighting ignorance. That's the energy we need more of. So if you're watching this and you are Latino, ask yourself, am I willing to have uncomfortable conversations at home? Am I willing to admit that my culture has anti-black roots and work to change that? And if you are black, ask yourself, am I protecting my peace, setting boundaries, and still leaving room for genuine allies who want to learn and grow? Because people don't heal by isolating, they heal by leading. At the end of the day, unity isn't built on convenience, it's built on courage. It's built on calling things out, but also calling people in. It's built on saying, I respect you, but I won't tolerate your disrespect. That's the balance. And maybe that's what this whole video shows. Not just tension, but transformation. People are finally having the real talk. Some are defensive, some are learning, and some are evolving. And that's the real progress. Because when the truth comes out, when everyone faces their reflection, that's when real unity becomes possible. And honestly, That's the energy we need going forward. Less blame, more accountability. Less ego, more empathy. Less talking, more changing. Let's keep watching how this unfolds, because what's happening right now could either break communities apart or finally build something stronger than we've seen. This choice? That's on all of us. And as you know, the goal of this channel is to encourage unity between all Americans, whether you are a Latino, whether you are a Black American, whether you are indigenous community, whether you are white. The main purpose of this channel is to encourage the unification, the solidarity between all of those identities. So drop your opinions down there in the comment section answering this question. How do you think can all Americans unite together? What strategy would be used? Let us know down there in the comment section. And that was it for today. Mr. TA signing off. Ciao.